hanging out with friends and partying in crowds, all that despite COVID-19. Young people just want to have fun, like they were doing here in Mallorca. They aren't taking the threat of the coronavirus seriously. After all, they are young, healthy and strong. Thousands have been gathering at raves in parks across Europe. The police break up one party and another one pops up elsewhere. Will party revelers be responsible for the second wave? Welcome to your COVID-19 Special on DW News. I'm Monica Jones in Berlin. Good to have you with us. COVID-19 is on the rise again here in Europe. Expert at Germany's Central Scientific Institution in the field of biomedicine, that is the Robert Koch Institute, sound the alarm. Keep your distance. The threat of a second wave is real. But more and more, such warnings are falling on deaf ears.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning in Berlin's Neukölln district. We're filming with a hidden camera in Hasenheide Park. We got a tip. This is where it's going to happen. A big open-air corona party, somewhere hidden in the middle of the park. But where? Since the coronavirus and the shutdown of the club scene, hundreds of people supposedly gather here every weekend to party. They even come when it's raining. Suddenly, party noises. This must be it. In a clearing, the first people begin to gather. They've already started dancing. But the center of the party is probably farther away. People are streaming into the bushes. We follow them. And there it is. Dance floors in the middle of the bushes. People dance, close together without masks. The party is wild. Paul's partying here too. He'll talk to us if we don't show his face. Corona is not an issue in the Hasenheide. Since March it's been that way, since the beginning. The parties here have been going on for a while. I don't think they are a lot more than usual. It's now 2:30 in the morning. More and more people are arriving. How many? It's hard to say. Maybe 400 or 500. The fact that it keeps raining doesn't slow down the event. The party is well stocked. People have brought their own drinks, drugs, and umbrellas. Andre has also been here several times. 3 weeks ago, he discovered the party for the first time. I heard bass and thought, okay, so something is happening here. I didn't know what, and I was curious and started following the sounds. I was walking around behind where it was happening, and all of a sudden, I came to this clearing and saw a crowd. Let's say 500 people and one man with a big speaker. They needed a new car battery. Everyone chipped in money so that they could afford one. And then we kept on partying all night. That was back in the day. That was a little more critical. Now everything is a bit freer. I have a great feeling now. At the time, he was still concerned that people weren't obeying any rules. Yeah, sure, that's kind of critical. And you shouldn't do that. But in the end, you're human too and you're young. You work. You still have time and summer will be over soon. Then you do things that might not be so smart, really. Another partygoer tells us there were 4 police vans last week, but the parties keep going on. Today, the group can party without interruption. At about 3 in the morning, we leave. The time the party reaches its high point. These people plan to keep on dancing until sunrise.
Now, parties like these are legal in Berlin, with up to 1,000 party-goers, if they keep a distance. Well, for more, I'm joined by Florian Kutzner. He's assistant professor of social psychology at the University of Heidelberg. Good to have you with us. Now, do you sympathize with those party-goers, or are they completely irresponsible?
I don't know about the sympathy, but I can see plausible explanations for the act of partying, even right now. I mean, if I look, for example, at the Cosmos survey by Connie Beach, my colleague, she sees declining threat appraisals. So people, especially youngsters, don't feel threatened anymore, and our models predict that costly altruistic behaviors will decline then.
And is this a problem that really just applies to youngsters or young people? I mean, what about those holidaymakers that we've seen in Spain or Austria? They're partying without a care. What is their excuse?
Well, let me first come back to the youngsters. I think for them especially, it is a problem. And I can feel why, right? I mean, if you want cooperation on altruistic behaviors, you need trust as a policymaker. And trust originates in one thing from being perceived as benevolent. That means I understand what you need, what your needs are. And the needs of youngsters, I think, are particularly underrepresented in the public discourse, right? That ranges from a decline of COVID restriction costs, sexual activity, a decline in organized sporting events, the inability to celebrate degrees from university, to travel, or the Fridays for Futures demands that are still unmet by policymakers.
So you think partying is also, to a large extent, just an expression of frustration?
It is a particular frustration with policymakers that they don't take their cause seriously. Right? And now perhaps we're going to talk about the different partygoers in Mallorca, or people go to holidays, right?
Right.
I mean, here, I think the context is really powerful. I mean, we tend to think that the behavior we observe is what people are and what they really desire. But I mean, if you widen the street, people will speed up. And if you increase plate sizes, people will eat more. And if you open party locations, people will party. It's cynic to ask them not to do so if they have the room to do so.
But so what should authorities and politicians do? I mean, case numbers are rising again.
I think, if it comes to partying, right? I mean, they have to think about whether they really want to allow partying, and then in addition require social distancing or physical distancing, as it should be called, right? And if they want to have more cooperation, not on the partying, but overall, they should communicate in terms of communication for trust, right? Besides stating that you know and feel the needs of different people, what you have to do is be really transparent about what works and what does not work in the actions you've taken.
But isn't that where empathy comes in, which has nothing to do with age, hopefully?
Definitely. But I mean, empathy, from the side of policymakers, empathy needs that you show empathy for different groups in the population, not for citizens as a whole. And I mean, the calls to altruistic behaviors, the general ones, and the saying thank you to all of us adhering to the regulations, I mean, they seem not to work anymore for everybody, right? We see splinter groups, minorities of people that we cannot reach that way anymore. And they are important to reach.
They're important to reach. And with half a minute to go, Florian Kutzner, young people, even though they don't believe it, are also at risk. Can that be communicated to them?
Of course it can, right? Be transparent about the statistics you use, about the experts you consult, and they will take it seriously.
All right, Florian Kutzner from the University of Heidelberg on the psychology of party revelers in times of the pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now it's time for your questions. Over to our science correspondent, Derek Williams.
Can inhaled steroids help in the treatment of COVID-19? For example, for people who also have asthma?
Currently, the only steroid being used to treat COVID-19 patients is one called dexamethasone, though it isn't inhaled, and it's only used to treat people who are in very bad shape and need respiratory support. I think that what you're referring to is a group of other compounds that made headlines last week called interferons. Now, they're signaling proteins that play a key role in steering the body's immune response by acting as a kind of frontline defender. One thing they do is warn uninfected cells that an invader is around, so those cells have time to shore up their defenses. SARS-CoV-2 appears to be able to block the interferon response, kind of allowing it to to sort of rampage unchecked. So the idea is that by administering interferon-based drugs through an inhaler at just the right moment, you can cause the immune system to work not only as it should, but also exactly where it should, in the air passages and in the lungs. Initial results from a non-peer-reviewed small-scale study appear extremely promising, but it was also conducted by a British drug company testing their own formulation. So there will definitely have to be a lot more corroborating data before we can say anything for sure.
And Derek Williams will be back tomorrow, which means you can post more of your questions to Derek on our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to keep up with the latest developments on the coronavirus, then subscribe to our newsletter. Go to dw.com/corona-newsletter. Now then, there's an interesting story from Japan, and I hope we have the pictures here, because several robots which could help fight COVID-19 were unveiled at a railway station in Japan. The operators of Takanawa Gateway in Tokyo, they showed a disinfectant robot which cleans and sanitizes handrails, benches and other parts of the station using artificial intelligence. Other robots also help deliver food or carry luggage. All the robots are equipped with three-dimensional cameras and sensors to help them avoid obstacles. And from what I can tell, they also keep a social distance. Well, that's your COVID-19 special here on DW. Of course, you can find more updates and analysis on our website, dw.com. That is, from me and the team in Berlin, thanks for watching.